And I kind of want to tap now into the Northern Virginia basketball scene. And in doing so, I want to give a shout out to Coach Eric and, like LoCo Expo Showcase, bringing this podcast together, connecting us for this interview. And, shout out D1SA for, just constantly churning out great athletes year after year. And Coach Eric's leadership and everything that he does for the Northern Virginia as a whole. But can you guys just describe for the Goods basketball the importance of giving back to Northern Virginia and Herndon and just growing the basketball scene here?
I mean, this area has put out so much talent, and I'm just speaking Northern Virginia, but typically the DC, Maryland people get most of the credit, right? And deservingly so. There's some bigger names, um, but again, we feel in this area that there's just as much talent, if not more, um, throughout. So I think we represent that in Northern Virginia, by way of Herndon, but for all the other people in this area, we want to put them on the main stage and showcase them as well. So it's going to take a collective, though. We're going to try our best to do our part in growing these players on and off the court. But there's some great programs like you mentioned, Mike, and D1SA and LST. And, I feel like, I have a duty to do that because I know the talent and I know the impact that the guys that came up before me, like a Scotty, Ricky Lucas, the Grant Hills of the world, right? So I know what we come from, but I also want players in our area to know that, look, you come from, a really prominent history of players. And there's a lot of Jasmine Thomas, Carol, like there's so many that I don't think people realize that are from, Northern Virginia. And I'll even say this, a lot of these people that go to these PVIs and these big time, they're from Northern Virginia. They may not claim it, but they are. But yeah, I feel like we have a duty to continue to grow the game out here.
Yeah, man. I again echo everything he said. Um, this area means a lot to us. We've been slept on when it comes to, this part of the DMV, for a lot of different reasons. And a lot of it isn't really valid, but the reality is right now, Northern Virginia youth and public school basketball isn't very good anymore. And we wanna reinvigorate not just the public school level, but in general. And I'm mainly talking about Fairfax County. What Eric Williams and D1SA and some of the other folks in Loudoun are doing is amazing because Loudoun has caught up. For a while, I don't know when you graduated from Stonebridge, Mike, but like we wouldn't
2008.
even play Loudoun schools because it was going to be automatic win. It would have been a waste of time. There are some schools like Dominion, Pop Falls, Stonebridge has some good teams, but for the most part, we kind of looked at Loudoun like, eh. But now Loudoun schools compete with anybody. They beat Fairfax County schools all the time now. But in Fairfax County in particular, the level of play and the pride of playing for your school is just not there anymore. Back in the day, every school, it doesn't matter if you're the worst school in the district or the best. Every school had at least one or two college level basketball players, whether it's Division III, JUCO, Division II, Division One. Every school had at least one or two. Now in the district, there might be 4 or 5 kids that are college level players, right? And like Austin said, when it comes to knowing your history, there used to be pride in playing for your neighborhood school or the school, the area that you grew up in. And now the best Northern Virginia players all go private, right? And a lot of those kids who go private now, really, they wouldn't have been private when we were coming up, right? It's just because the level of play for public school isn't the same. So I'm really passionate. We're really passionate about getting the culture back, getting the level of competition back, like the pride of I'm playing for Herndon, I'm playing for South Lakes, I'm playing for Westfield, for TC. And some schools still have it, But overall, we just see just a lack of just quality and competitiveness. And we really want to help, like I said, bring it back.
We want to start at the grassroots level. You know, we've noticed just a challenge in kids that don't really understand the game and the fundamentals. And you have coaches and, you know, quite honestly, a lot of the people that are teaching these kids are former parents that don't really know the game. And so if we can find a tool, we want to get to the point where we can start not only just, mainly in Northern Virginia, just start the grassroots level, teach these kids, you know, simple pivot footwork, you know, how to proper shooting form, things of that nature. That in turn will springboard. And by the time they get to kind of the middle school, high school levels, it will be an equal level playing field that we grew up and watched. And, you know, we noticed that no matter where you were at, private or public, there were dogs in any other school you were at. So starting at the grassroots level is very important.
Yeah, one last thing I'll add, Mike, is you know, the landscape of youth basketball has changed. You know, back in the day, you had guys that were cornerstones in the community, whether that was at the YMCA, community center, the rec center, that just taught the game because they loved the game, right? And AAU wasn't as big, and you know, basketball's almost starting to become like a lacrosse, like soccer, like a luxury sport, right? You got to have trainers now. You got to have all these different things. And like Brandon said, you have people who don't really know the game coaching it. So, you know, more former players like us need to get back involved, um, and really help kids learn not just the fundamentals, but just the other non-basketball stuff, um, that could, you know, help them, you know, succeed on and off the court.